Hey.
Hey, we are on the air.
Hey.
Hi, Zach.
Hello.
This is Zachary Meyers, singer-songwriter. Just put out his first, well, not his first, just put out an album called Voyage Live. And my name is Jessica Lindsay. I'm the founder and melody writer for MelodyWed. And we decided to invite Zach to talk with us a little bit about his new album and to talk about the new songs, chat about the songwriting process, and just kind of get down with the awesome. So you can see the live video is playing behind me. So Zach, what was it like to record back there? What was this location like? Where were you all set up?
We were actually set up in the living room of my house, which was kind of due to unexpected circumstances, but nonetheless. We wanted to at first make it a little more ambitious and do different settings for each video and each song, but then we ended up liking the shots that we were getting and the continuity, so we just kind of kept it all in the living room. And I kind of like the idea of like a living room session sort of thing, so I just thought it had a more relaxed and honest vibe about it. So
nice. I really like it. It's intimate. It's close. It feels like you're actually playing the songs for the audience, like when you're looking at the video. So it's nice.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about who filmed the video?
Of course. Actually, my brother Noah Myers shot the video. Super talented photographer and videographer, obviously, given what he did for me.
Clearly.
And it was really cool because we don't get to collaborate as much as I would like to on things, and so being able to be home and be with him and do this kind of project, which was just as much his idea as it was mine, was really cool to see that come to fruition in such a short amount of time, because we kind of hammered it out so fast. It was like, hey, I'm back from the summer and I have all of these songs and I don't really want to record them, but I want to do them live. And he was like, yeah, let's just do it live and I'll film it. And then it just kind of happened in like a week. We recorded like every single night and got it done. So yeah.
Wow. So you recorded different songs every single night. How many takes did it take for each one?
It depends on it depended on the song and how I was feeling at a given time, because obviously the creative process is very
varied.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Fickle?
Yes, exactly. Because some nights I'm really vibing on it, and like the first night we filmed Closer, which is the first song in the album, and I was super vibing on it, and it felt great, and we recorded it, and I think we just did 2 takes, and the second time I was like, that was great, let's just use that one, you know?
Awesome.
But it was harder because sometimes if I wasn't vibing on it and Noah was like, wow, that filming was awesome, then it was like, well, I have to do it again. And he was like, no, dude, the filming was great. Let's just keep it. I was like, no, I have to do it again. So, yeah, it took some getting there sometimes. And there was definitely a lot more practice before the videos, obviously, so that the actual recording process went smoother and faster. So it was a lot of work, but
yeah, it seems like it. But I'll tell you, it seems pretty effortless when you see the full thing. It's all really cohesive. If you hadn't told me that you spread it out over a week, I would have thought that it was one day, one take, just all done. So good job on that.
Which I could have done, and which we considered doing, but it would have been significantly more time consuming. So we just kind of set ourselves to a schedule of, let's do this song tonight, this song the next night, and some nights we did multiple songs if we could get them done fast enough and that kind of stuff. But
good. Well, you guys are a good team. I hope that you guys team up again some more in the future.
I really do too.
If you are just joining us, if you are live or if you are watching this afterwards, we are having questions from the audience. So we have some questions over on the side here, and if you are watching live, you can choose to vote them up or down. So if you click the +1 next to a question, that will make the question more likely to be answered by Zachary. So feel free to enter your own questions and vote up and down on the currently present questions. Okay, so Zach, when you're looking at these questions, are there any that you would like to start with?
It's up to you.
Okay. Well, let's talk about why you chose to create a collection of live songs. We'll just keep going on this whole production thing. Why did you choose to create a collection of live songs instead of having a studio-produced record?
Well, because I'm still kind of starting out and that sort of thing, I found that when I write the songs, I really fall in love with them, and I love how they sound when I perform them, and I really connect better to them that way. And I feel like it's hard for me as my own producer and mixer and masterer and studio technician, basically being all of that and also the artist is really hard for me to make a distinction between, and it can sometimes bog down my creativity, and then I'm almost never as satisfied with the final product as I would be if I just performed it for somebody in a living room. You know? And so when I got home from New Hampshire this summer, I had written all these new songs and had some that were a little bit older, but I had this idea of an album in mind, and I had already started recording some of them semi-professionally. And listening to them, I just wasn't as satisfied as I wanted to be, and whatever may have you. And I was talking to Noah about it, and he was listening. I was like, I just feel like, not in a cocky way or an overconfident way, but I just feel like my talent is better showcased when I perform live and when I just perform it for people and they just hear me how I would do it if I was just singing it for you. And this is raw, this is the honesty, this is just what it sounds like. This is what I can do. Whether you like it or not, take it or leave it, that kind of thing. And so
I think that shows. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
That shows in the raw emotion of the songs. These songs were meant to be acoustic and not overly produced because they are about getting that depth from within and expressing it. Right,
exactly. And that whole thing, the kind of just being true to myself as an artist and honest about my artistry has been something that I really wanted to focus on more. Because it's not about the production really for me and all of that kind of stuff, or it is, but I just want to get away from it more because I want to show people what I can do. I want to show people the songs that I can write instead of trying to cover them up and cover mistakes and that kind of thing. Obviously, if you listen to the audio and watch the videos, there are mistakes in there and there are things that aren't exactly perfect, and that's fine because performers aren't perfect, but I'm still proud of the work that I did, so that's what matters to me. So that's kind of why I wanted to go for a live album instead.
Well, and I'll agree with you. I think that your talent, your skill as an artist is really, really showcased when you do these live performances. The kind of guitar work plus vocal work that you can do at the same time is really impressive. I'm not trying to puff you up, but it's true. It's very evident that you practice and you care about being excellent in both instrument and voice, and so well done. It's very evident in these songs in Voyage. So
thank you.
Yeah. Let's choose another question. We had a friend who couldn't make it on the live broadcast, but asked me to ask you this question. So this is from Jackie. What are your goals for music? You obviously have what it takes to succeed.
What are my goals? As of right now, I'm actually in school. If you couldn't tell, I'm in a dorm room. And I am pursuing a degree in music. But the main goal is to do this, exactly what I'm doing, and see if that can take me somewhere, I guess. And aside from that, I also really love films and film scores and film composition, and I would really love to do that also. Honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not that picky. I just want to write music. And if I can do that for films, or if I can do it for television, or if I do that under a record label and it's under my name, that's great. I just want to write music. I think that's my main goal.
Yeah. So if you had the chance to do a film, this is just off the cuff, if you had the chance to be a score producer for any film, what would it have been? If you could have been the one who had done that film score, what would it have been?
Sorry, I kind of lost your audio a little bit. What'd you say?
That's okay. My question is, if you could have your pick of any film that has already been scored, which one would you have wanted your name on? Which one would you have wanted the credit for the score?
It seems like a cop-out to say anything John Williams. Or anything Thomas Newman. Thomas Newman is definitely my favorite film composer. I think um, Finding Nemo or or maybe Shawshank Redemption, both Thomas Newman scores. But
Gorgeous.
I would love to have been a part of that in some way.
Finding Nemo is one of the best scores, I think, of one of my. There's just, it's like you can hear the bubbles, you can hear the water, you can hear the everything.
Yeah,
And
and all of the emotion underneath it,
right.
And it's so good, so good. But yeah, I would probably choose that. It's one of my favorite film scores and a really good movie also. So
awesome, very cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. When shooting the live performances, was it difficult not to improvise the melodies? So, I'm a performer as well, and so when I'm performing live, I find that it's my tendency to kind of get into the song, and I kind of forget that I should probably just play it straight because people haven't heard it.
Right,
and so I start doing crazy things with, either the chorus or something improvised. So was that difficult not to do that for this live album?
Yes and no. For some of it, I actually purposefully left in a lot of improvisation because I wanted it to feel like live and real in that way. But then for some of it, I tried to keep it as straight as possible. So it depends. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily difficult to restrain. A lot of the songs I wrote like extra parts to them that were incorporated into the final recordings recently before shooting the video. So a lot of it was still kind of very straight in my mind. So I was kind of able to come up with a formula in rehearsing the songs ahead of time that was like, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to nail this run, which I improvised earlier, but this is the way I want it improvised, so it's part of the song now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. So it's not necessarily part of the melody of the verse or the chorus, but it's something that you've rehearsed that you want that part in there.
Right. So I tried to, in that way, I feel like it was true to how a live performance would have been, because in rehearsing the songs I found, I kind of changed this part and this part a little bit, but I'm going to leave it the same every time and then record it that way, sort of thing.
Yeah, so, makes sense.
I found myself doing that more often than not.
That's awesome. Yeah, it all sounded really well put together, even though it had some kind of variability to it. It was great.
Yeah.
So, next question. You chose not to promote this EP beforehand, and then came out with a blast of videos, one for each song. What did you hope to accomplish with that approach? And it's very, very Beyonce-esque, if I do say so.
I definitely didn't draw direct inspiration from Beyonce, though I would like to say that's even though I do really like Beyonce's music. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to do it this way. I just wanted to shock people. Like,
yeah. I
was going into kind of a new phase of life, and I was transitioning back to going to school again, and I was like, I don't need to hype it up. Like, this is, it was kind of went along with the raw theme of it all without me even knowing, I think, because I was just like, I'm just going to put it out there and whatever sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So it just kind of ended up happening that way. It wasn't really for a specific purpose, except for that I didn't want to really puff it up, if that makes sense. Yeah. Not in like a purposeful, humble way at all. I don't think it has to do with confidence or humility at all. I think it was just that I just wanted to see what would happen if I did it differently this time. So
I think it was inherently natural to this album, specifically to this collection of songs, to do it this way. Maybe in the future there'll be a more heavily produced sound. I kind of doubt it because of the way that you are as an artist. I've been following you for however long. You care about raw, you care about emotion, and that's one of your greatest strengths. Yeah, and I loved the videos. That as soon as I found out that you had, so I didn't know beforehand.
Yeah.
You hadn't let me know that you were sending out all these songs, and so when I found out, I was like, oh yes. I was stinking excited. I was just so happy, and I was amazed that I could watch videos for every single one. Yeah. And watch your face singing it all. So
that was kind of the hope, I think, because it was so ambitious that we wanted it to come across that way. that
Yeah.
to the few people that are already into my music, I wanted it to be like, wow, this is sick, and I wasn't expecting it, and this is like a nice surprise to my day. Like I checked Facebook and was like, oh, Zach did another thing, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So I just kind of wanted it to have that vibe more like they stumbled into my room while I was playing a couple songs and just kind of listened a little bit, you know.
Totally. Well, that was definitely the vibe. So,
Yeah.
good job. Next question is, your voice sounds super rich. I'm reading this and it sounds so your voice sounds super rich, with some gravel and some lilt in there. So these are kind of vocal things that I haven't heard from you in the past, that I was super pleased to hear. There's a little bit of gravel, especially in closer, and then a little bit of lilting, where like at the end of a phrase you'll kind of bring it up a little bit in pitch. And I was digging those new vocal methods. Have you been practicing alternative ways of singing, or is this just a natural progression of your voice?
I think it's just getting taken to this place now for some reason. Since I've been getting older and like the way that I write has just started to change a little bit, and that reflects like the sound that I want to hear from myself instead of what just kind of naturally comes out. But at the same time, this might sound weird, but also the opposite of that, because there's a little bit of it that like this is also just how my voice sounds now, so I'm just going to sing it this way. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I haven't specifically practiced those techniques, though I do know what you're talking about, and it takes a more trained musician to recognize those things about somebody's voice, like all the little lifts that I do at the end of phrases and those kind of things that go up in pitch. They can sometimes kind of sound squeaky, but I like that stylistically. I kind of picked up some of that from just various bands that I listen to that have just kind of influenced me, I guess.
Like whom? Can you think of an example?
Actually, this is kind of funny because I just went to a Ooks concert in Seattle a couple days ago, and I haven't listened to them in a really long time. But anyway, he does a lot of that stuff, and this was after the fact that I released the album. But I mean, so it wasn't a direct influence, but I just kind of noticed the similarities because he does that so much. His is like way more dramatic, but similar kind of style.
So he does the lilting or the gravel, or both?
The lilting at the end. So like the like high turns that are like kind of into head voice at the end of a phrase, those kinds of things. A lot of which is closer, and a little bit in like Hear Me Out and that kind of stuff.
Gosh, Hear Me Out is one of my faves. Let's listen to a little bit of this lilting that we're talking about and a little bit of the gravel. Hold on. Okay. I just love this. Let's wait for it.
Wipe that sweat from your brow. Now we're closer than ever before.
No, here it comes.
Reaching for the bedroom door.
Just makes me go like this with my lip.
1 second. Do I care if this is said? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
I don't.
So you hear at the end of "No, I don't," you hear that little lilting, and the reaching for my bedroom door part. That part for your voice just makes it go, yeah, get it, that whole gravel. I absolutely love it. It sounds great.
Thanks. So yeah, with that, it was just kind of how it fit into the song, I think. I don't know, with the lilting, I guess, because it was just, it almost sounds like an added note or like a grace note that pops up at the end in like that mixed head voice sort of thing. But that's just kind of as the song developed with me performing it, I just kind of started doing it because that's how it sounded to me, I guess.
Well, you're even kind of matching it a little bit with the guitar sounds where you would slide up, and it would also match that same kind of sound. So it's all it all matches together really well. So.
Thank you.
Next question. Some of these songs are super raw. They're really deep, and it really strikes a chord. It seems like some of them tell different sides of the same story. For example, Hear Me Out sounds like a plea for reconciliation and this desire for maybe not even reconciliation, but like just this desire for moving forward, even though it's kind of feeling in this stuck place. But then heart/head and past tense are like bitter and like it sounds like betrayal and pain. So there's a lot of emotion, and there are a lot of kind of different sides of the same coin feelings to this collection. Can you tell us a bit about how songwriting and how the songwriting process helps you process your emotions?
Yeah. Well, I feel like a very obvious thing is like write what you feel, you know, with authors, artists, who paint, who sculpt, who do anything, and musical artists. That's the stuff that's real, and that's the stuff that conveys emotion best. And to me, it's never an agenda of I need people to hear me. I need people to hear these emotions that I'm having and feel this and feel that. But after the fact, when I write from that kind of a place, I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, obviously, for me, music is a huge coping mechanism, just naturally for me. And so I write songs in really dark times, and they become some of my most favorite creations, and I write them in really happy times, and they become some of my most favorite creations. So for me, it's just about honesty of emotion, of where I'm at as a human being, like where I'm at in a certain part of my life. And the audience that I have and that I will hopefully continue to have will recognize that and relate to that, because we all share a part in the same story, you know? And
yeah.
For me, the songwriting is about you're not alone, the listener, and I know what you are feeling. And I'm hurting too, or I'm also just as joyous as you are about this new prospect or this new relationship, or just as sad about this one that ended in this way, or whatever it may be. And so for me, yeah, I guess when you say, can you tell us about how songwriting helps you process emotions, it's just that it does.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I think that helps other people too process their emotions, you know.
I hope that it can.
Yeah, and I think it does. You know, number one, people know they're not alone, either in joy or sadness. And number two, you tend to put to words even more depth than people are willing to process on their own daily. You know, there are different kind of brain spaces that people can be in. And I think one, you know, our most often is pretty shallow. It's pretty, you know, in the moment. It's pretty, let's interact with the world around me. And so to enter into one of your songs and to be listening is to kind of go into this depth of actual heart stuff and recognize and at least be made aware of the emotions that are probably there under the surface.
Right.
So I applaud you for writing honestly. It's vulnerable and it's courageous and it's bold to do it that way. So so keep going, man. We're all with you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, here's a song. We're gonna kind of, or here's a question. We're gonna kind of mix it up. This is a friend of ours as well who couldn't make the live broadcast. He sent in one of his questions. His name is Tom. He wants to know, what is your songwriting process like? Do you write the melody or the lyrics first?
That is an interesting question. More and more recently, I write the instrumentation first. So I will come up with the guitar lick or the piano tune or the something, and then kind of as and there's no melody yet. It's just kind of the basic structure of the song that I'm feeling, or I'm like, I really like this progression and how it works in this way on the piano or on the guitar or in this tuning or whatever. And then from there, what tends to happen for me personally is I will repeat that over and over again so it's solid in my fingers to the point where I can then just start singing what comes into my head, and the words and melodies kind of come together at once. It's not really one and the other, and then I put them together. I usually will hit record on my phone and sing through what I feel improvisationally, and the lyrics.
Usually that ends up being the song, isn't it?
Right, and the lyrics and the melodies just kind of come out the way that I guess that my heart or my soul wants them to come out. And then I will go back and listen and draft and revise and be like, didn't like these lyrics, but I love the melody.
Yeah.
let's add this lyric here, let's cut this melody, this is definitely the chorus,
Yep.
let's write a bridge now afterwards, that kind of thing. Like, what could make this tie together better? So usually that's how it works out for me creatively in the process.
It's funny, that's almost exactly how it works for me too, is
Yeah.
it tends to be melody that kind of drives it. I have a hook, I have something to go off in the beginning, which is what you're talking about with the riff and the piano. Sometimes it's a phrase for me, and it'll start a hook, and I'll come up with a melody for that phrase. That becomes the hook, and
Right.
then I start to build the progression, and I start to build the and then I basically hit record too, and I just start like singing, blah, 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 even if I don't have the words. It's like you've got a melody, you've got the sound, and then
Or
sometimes
you can hum them, and like that's it. Like, you just need to know, like, needs to be the melody here, and I don't know what the words are yet, but I'll figure it out later. So, but I need to record it because I'm gonna forget it 15 minutes later if I don't record it.
I sometimes sometimes the words that I like, the gibberish that I say into my voice memo, like sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, like dancing through the night or something like that, and it won't actually be coherent in my mind. But then when I listen to it again, I'm like, oh, dancing through the night, that works. Like, it'll actually end up being the right words, even though I'm not intending it. So, okay, that's cool. That's really neat.
And lots of times for me, just to kind of keep this going a little bit,
Yeah, go for it.
the lyrics find their real depth and complexity more when I revisit them another time. So like they'll convey the like emotion in a very basic and bland sense the first time through, with very literal things and things that are like, this is definitely what I'm feeling, but it's not the most poetic, not the most creative or lyrical. And so then going back through, I'll be like, oh my gosh, this word could be this instead. Let's cut this, paste this in. This line could be this and work perfectly with this melody. You know what I mean? And so a lot of my lyrical complexity comes in after the fact. I know that wasn't a question, but I thought I would just say that.
No, that's great stuff. So what you're saying is that sometimes the first draft is more basic than it ends up being, where you're substituting more poetic and romantic language, and it's kind of more metaphoric and imagery is there, and you're focusing more on that second revision kind of go around.
Right. Sometimes it'll happen in the first time through, and it'll just lock in solid, and it's like, whoa. And that's when I write like a favorite song of mine in 30 minutes. Occasionally that'll happen, But sometimes it'll take like months at a time. Like Heart Head and Past Tense I wrote a long time ago, months ago, and I visited them this summer, and then even more recently, like almost towards when we started recording the project, I revisited them and added things to them and kind of found a new life to them, sort of thing. So it just depends, I guess.
Nice. So they can evolve even over time as well. Very cool. Okay. I think we are going to dive into the songs themselves. So if you're watching live right now, if you go to the Showcase tab, so I've just made it available, you can see each of Zachary's videos for the Voyage Live EP, the album. Closer, Hear Me Out, Hearthead, Past Tense, Little One, and then Voyage. So you can see all of those videos. You can be watching them maybe in the background while we're talking about them. We'll spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes on each song, and then we'll kind of wrap up the session. So first, let's start with Closer. Can you tell us the story about writing that song? So just for the audience who's listening, it's a very bluesy, like super fun and kind of like grungy song that I really dig. It's different than what I've heard from you before, Zach, but can you tell us a little bit about it?
Let's see. It might kind of sound like it comes directly from an experience, because that's kind of how it was written, but it was really written out of a curiosity of style for me, because I started experimenting with those kinds of chords, like dominant 7 chords all over the place, and all that kind of stuff, and more bluesy progressions. And so messing around with that and then kind of feeling it out, it just kind of happened. It wasn't due to any direct experience. It was like I kind of wanted to tell a fake story with it, almost. Not necessarily fake. Like, there were definitely some things that pointed me towards it more. But it more just came about as not an experiment, but just as a, like, let's try this style and see what kind of happens, because I like how it sounds on my voice, and the guitar is simpler than I usually like and what I usually like to do, but I just wanted to kind of use it as a vehicle for seeing what my voice could do, I guess. And so, I don't know, that's just kind of how it came out.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So it was kind of like a genre experiment almost for you, where you were so yeah, and different genres have different messages sometimes. So for example, this bluesy song, you're not going to write about lilies and roses and lambs. You're going to write about sex and rock and roll, and like that's what it's going to be about. And so I love that you kind of were dipping your toes into it, and you totally rocked the genre, in my opinion. I think you aced it. So good job.
I mean, when you want to write a song that basically says, like, a little bit of, like, screw you, but also here's where I am now, like, look at me now, like, haters back off sort of a thing. Like, this is the genre that you choose when you want to write something contemporary like that. So that's kind of how it happened, I guess. Yeah,
very cool. So was there any specific thing that, like, sparked that desire?
I don't know. I think it kind of came from, now that I think about it, like, in retrospect, it just kind of came about as a desire to break away from what people think of my music and what people want me to be, and being like, well, it is me and it is mine, and I'm doing this with it now. So there it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems blunt saying it that way, but that's just kind of how it is. I don't know.
Well, I think that artists tend to get cordoned off into, big word of the night, cordoned off into little boxes, and people put them into boxes of, this is your genre, this is what you do, and you have so much more creativity that doesn't need to be in that box. And so I applaud you for trying something new and for actually really succeeding very well. And I think that people like that. People like it when you get out of your box, and it shows that you're a deep artist, that you are one with many facets, and that you are talented in different ways. Yeah. So that's great. One of my favorite lines from that is that song is at the very end. The "When I die, stay away from my grave." I thought that was wonderful. Yeah. I heard the end of that and I was like, yeah. That way. That was perfect. I loved it.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, that's one of my favorites also.
Yeah, so good. Let's go to "Hear Me Out," which is the second song in the album. This is just a stunningly beautiful song. I've listened to this so many times over the past week. It talks about, kissing away your doubt, and the blue eyes phrase is particularly haunting and lovely. Can you tell us a little bit about that song and where you were when you wrote that, or like emotionally, like where you were, what mindset you were in when you wrote that, or whether it came together in a day or it took a long time? Tell us a little bit about "Hear Me Out."
This is one of my favorites from the new album for sure, because it is the most recent song I have written, and so I feel as though it reflects where I'm at personally the best. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it speaks of hope the best. Hope for a new start, and a little bit of edge and persuasion to like, that is in there as well.
Let's listen to a little bit of it.
Okay.
We'll kind of get into the vibe of it. So "Hear Me Out." Feel free to go listen on your own too, if you are in the audience.
Hear me out. The same scene, you're standing there.
I just want to harmonize too.
Possibly cool, without nowhere. Start to undress.
It's just a really lovely melody. I want to take you to the blue eyes part, because this part is one of the memorable parts of this song for me.
Blue eyes and hair that falls softly between the cotton sheets.
I like how you use this repetitive motif.
Blue eyes and hair that falls softly between our cotton tees.
Cotton sheets, cotton tees, it's kind of bringing it closer.
Blue eyes and hair that falls softly on my heart to sleep. I picture it several times a week.
Really sweet song.
Thanks. Yeah, I love that song. I love it so much. Like, I know it even seems weird for people to like say that about their own music, maybe, but I just it's not that I'm like thrilled that I wrote it. It's just that like I love it as a song. I love playing it. I love how it just kind of came out and how it developed, and yeah, it came from a place of like, if you've listened to Heart/Head and Past Tense, it came as a rebirth from that, because chronologically in my life they were written first, and then Closer kind of happened, Voyage kind of happened, Little One kind of happened, and then Hear Me Out came, and so I didn't think it sounded like an ending track, but it just it just spoke to me a lot, and I really like it.
Yeah, no, it fits really well, and I think as the second song, because it really starts it off strong.
Yeah. And I haven't written a love song in a very long time, and I would consider that a love song. And and it feels really good to be back in that place again, but from a more mature songwriting place. Because before, love songs were like a crutch for my songwriting, and so it felt good to return to that in a different sort of sense.
Yeah, I see that definitely in Hear Me Out. Because it's not lovey-dovey, it's not daisies, it's, you know, it's real, and it's describing real.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so for Heart and Head, let's go into this one, Heart/Head. This song is really powerful. I love the Tear Them Out line here. Let's listen to a little quick clip of that. Can you tell us, while I'm getting this ready, can you tell us a little bit about that song and where it kind of originated? Or like what your favorite part is, or any of that?
I love the bridge to this song. I really, really like the bridges in a lot of these, especially in Hear Me Out also, and we're moving on, but I love that. The I'll Kiss Away Your Doubt on that minor 4 chord is one of my favorite things. Yeah. But in Heart Head, the build there is very satisfying to me. And I actually added that bridge more recently. I wrote that song actually quite a long time ago, almost 6 months ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it came out of a very raw experience in my life, and it developed into something more refined over time. And I'm glad that it got and published in this way as it did, because it gave it time to revise. Because before, it was a little too raw, I think, because it's already probably one of the most gritty songs in the album, and before I really started refining it, when I like first wrote it, there was more profanity, there was more anger, less, it wasn't as mature as I wanted it to be, and I think conveys the message of my heart better. So I think that's all I can really say. But
which part is the bridge? Can you tell me what those words are, or sing a little bit of it?
Breathing air of a different kind.
Okay, seriously? That part is amazing, okay? So, well, we can listen to part of it, but that part is amazing. Okay, so let me tell you why I absolutely adore that part. The build is amazing. What you do with the harmonics, and the fact that you can do the harmonics plus this vocal part that's syncopated, you know, you're not singing to the same rhythm that you are playing, and so in harmonics, singing a different rhythm and maintaining it all at the same time was very impressive to me. So let's take a look at that. Let's listen to that real quick. So this is Heart/Head, and we're going into the bridge. Hopefully.
We drifted in to a harbor place that's filled with sin. Breathing out
Those harmonics, though.
different kind when you only had me in mind all along. We drifted in to a harbor place filled with sin. There's a hardened face. The guilt sinks in.
Yeah.
It's criminal to stop it, because that's an exquisite performance. It really is, and I'm not just saying that. That was absolutely stunning.
Thank you. I really love those lyrics. Yeah, I really do.
And then it goes into. Oh, go ahead, please.
I just feel like they're very poignant and they fit well, and so much so, in my opinion, to the point where I almost made the title of the album Drift instead of Voyage. But then I thought that Voyage encompassed the whole thing instead of that one facet, and it kind of is a synonym and a takeoff of Flight, which was my first EP. So that ended up fitting better, but I do really love that part. I love that part.
I didn't know that. I didn't make that connection with Voyage and Flight. That's really cool.
Yeah.
The tear them out part just gets me every time. It's super powerful. And then at the end, how you talk about her head and heart instead. All this time it's been, where's my heart? Where's my head? Tear them out. Tear them out. And that's gripping in itself. But then when you say, where's her heart? Where's her head? I'll tear them out. I'll tear them out. That's like, oh, that's like gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So, good on you. All right, let's go to past tense. So, this is a great song. You probably know what I'm going to talk about first. Every time I hear maybe I'm dreaming in my breath catches, and I'm like, is he going to say it this time? Where in the song you say the F word and you say maybe I'm dreaming in the effing past tense. At the very end, at the very last one, and I absolutely love the shock of this, and it just brings it all home. Can you tell us what you were thinking, how you're feeling about having that in there?
I mean, it fits the song perfectly, and so I was like, it was kind of my idea, kind of Noah's idea, and so I mean, obviously Noah's idea, but but I did want it in there because I cut the F word that I used in Heart Head repeatedly, where I said, once you thought it would mend, but now it's too much. I used to say,
now it's too fucking much. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so I wanted to have it in there somewhere because not just profanity for the sake of profanity, but it can be powerful in a song. And I wanted it to be like I just kind of say it, I drop it, and I like play the last thing, and then I just kind of get up and walk off, And so I just kind of did that. I don't know. That's kind of the effect that I wanted with the song. Yeah.
I have a question on that song. In the chorus it says, wake up in a line and guess. It's a very kind of lilty, almost like, it's almost like 50s sounding, where it's kind of like, da 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 da. It's kind of like in a good way. I'm not saying it's bad.
Right.
So what does that lyric mean? Wake up in a line and guess.
Wake up in a line and guess, kind of like, for me, it was very symbolic, not literal. In the sense that, like, you wake up in whatever circumstance you're in your life, and you're like, kind of, what am I doing? And also, what am I waiting for? What, like, behind all of these other people, what are we all standing here waiting for? Kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And waking up in a line, it's like, shows the suddenness of the situation, I suppose.
Got it.
And that kind of like 50s type sound you're talking about, that more simplistic sound, is, I foreshadowed that in the very beginning by saying, so I'll write a simple song about your love, and the whole thing, it's kind of supposed to be like a satirical pop song, in the sense that it's simple, it's not very complex, but I like, here's the melody, here's the whatever, and listen to the words. You know what I mean? It's more about the words in the song. So everything else was kind of a vehicle for that.
I like how you incorporate your stylistic choices with the meaning of the song. I think that's really powerful, and it adds a lot. Also,
Now I see. I thought it was good, thought it was fine. You wake up in a line and guess. I thought it was love, thought you would fight, but maybe we were wrong this time.
Really love the filming too.
Oh, good. Yeah, Noah did a great job.
He really did. I really loved how he was going in and out of the shots and getting a lot of your mouth, which was good to be able to watch you while you were singing.
And it's super impressive that he was able to do that without a glide cam and all in one take, and it looks beautiful and it looks like a professional music video.
That's so impressive. No glide. Yeah, I was really impressed with that. No gliding, no like panning. You know, none of that. He didn't need it. He just with his hand, just kind of brought it home. Did
manual
great.
zoom and everything.
Yeah. A couple of the line about misspent youth I also really like in that song. So if you in the audience are wanting to get a little nugget from that song, try to find the lyric misspent youth. I really like that one. Okay, next song we've got two more songs, Little One and Voyage. So we're going to go to Little One next. So this song seems to be about someone, and in the song you're talking about how you might have hurt this person, but they didn't take it offensively, and you just love them, and I just felt the love that you had for this person. So how did you intend for the recipient of this song, or who this was about, to receive the song? How did you hope for this song to be received?
Anonymously.
Really?
I'm not exactly. This is the most emotional song that I've ever written. For me personally, in
Wow.
my opinion about my songwriting, because it came out of a place that I didn't know I had, and it all flowed out at one time. All of the lyrics, the melody, everything, it just kind of happened. And so I didn't really have an intention for it to be received in a certain way, other than with maybe grace or forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's really shocking to me to hear you describe it as one of the most emotional songs for you. That means it must touch a chord really deep with you, and that this person's really important to you.
And it touches a chord deeper than I superficially or romantically love this person. It is a different kind of love that I've never written songs about before.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is really beautiful, and I really like that I was able to be a part of that kind of experience, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's different. It's not a romantic love song,
Right.
but it's about love and connection and this person that you feel deeply about, that you care about. And so it's beautiful that you can go into that depth.
Thanks.
Anything else about that song that you want to note?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's go on to Voyage. This is the last song. Something I noticed was that the video is a little bit different than the rest. It's in color, first of all, instead of black and white. You're playing keys instead of the guitar. Can you tell us about those choices and why it was color, number one, and then why you played keys instead of the guitar on this track?
Well, the reason for the keys was because it was written that way.
Okay.
I wrote it at the piano, and the reason for the color was a combination of improved and superior lighting in the video with stylistically, this is the launching point, this is the final point of the album, this is where everything takes off from here, and it can transition from a world with more stark differences to a world where everything isn't as figured out as we would maybe think, or that I think at all. It's not in my hands, and I don't know what's going on sometimes, you know.
Mhm.
Or my strong opinions don't matter. Like my strong opinions from my previous songs, they don't matter in this one.
Yeah.
So it's more blended. There's more variety, more color, that kind of a thing. That was kind of my mine and Noah's reasoning for it.
Yeah. This song Voyage is a lot more about kind of grace and maybe God's presence in the world, or kind of like bigger philosophical questions and thoughts. We're going to listen to a little bit of it, just kind of get a feel for what it sounds like. So it's got these keys. You can see it's in color. If you can see the screen, it's probably just glowing, glary.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I like the part for piano.
Life's not all that you thought it would be. It's not all that you want. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Beyond what you love, you say you'll never amount to a thing. Your life is a lie. Somewhere I heard that the flaws that I see will make me alive. Make me.
So it definitely has a piano-driven sound to it. Yeah, and that's a beautiful track. I encourage you to listen to that whole thing. It's hard to turn that one off.
I really love that song. I really love the piano because I find that I connect very deeply to writing on piano in a different way than guitar. Guitar is sometimes more accessible, and that's where it just ends up coming out more. But when I really vibe on a song that I'm writing on piano for, I just really like it. And I feel like a little bit more thought does go into it in that aspect. But
into the melody or the chord progression or the lyrics or just the connection to the song?
All of it, really. The chord progression is usually a lot stronger in my own personal opinion of what I usually write.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes across more as like, this is what I really want it to sound like. So I feel like it can come out of me better when I'm playing keys. And it's rare for me, which is why I usually include just like a single piano track on like per album or whatever, because when I can finally get it that way or act as that part of the creativity, it's like, okay, this one is like, yes, I really like this one, you know. And I love the other ones too, and I don't really think I even prefer this more than other ones on the album, but it's a different kind that I really like to showcase every once in a while. Yeah,
I think there is a difference writing on piano and writing on guitar. I feel the same way. Guitar tends to be more straightforward. For you have a lot more skill on guitar than I do. And so I think you have a lot more flexibility, but I feel like on the piano I can play whatever I want it to sound like can really come out.
Right.
That's what you're detailing too.
Right.
And that actually answered a question that Tom had submitted as well. So.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for answering that as well. Okay, I just have a couple more questions. The first is, what does this specific collection of songs mean to you personally?
Yeah, I'm doing the live chat. Yeah, you're good.
Welcome.
I'll be out in like 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. I gotta go really soon. But what does it mean to me personally? I think we covered a lot of it, honestly. It represents kind of a new launch, a new start, sort of a thing, but showing where I have been and where I've come from in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the first part, the first half is kind of like, here's where I am in this weird kind of place, and then the last half is like, here are the really solid things that I know to be true, more like less about experience, still about experience, but more about where do I want to see myself going, my songwriting going, the world going, where do I want everything growing, you know? And so that's why I thought Voyage was also pretty fitting with that. Also. But yeah, that's what it means to me personally. I'm most proud of these songs than any that I've written before. So they really do mean a lot to me, and I feel like I'm at the best that I've been yet with these. So I really like it. Yeah.
I agree. It does, and it does reflect that. I think that it reflects that you're in this place of maturity, and you're walking into this kind of new season with, you know, a new head on your shoulders, and you've kind of come out of these dark places, and you're coming into this new season, and I can't wait to see what's next. So.
Thank you. Thanks.
Lastly, how can people support your music, and can they purchase the songs?
They can go to my Bandcamp page, which is zacharymeyers.bandcamp.com, and they can download the live audio from all of these videos, which is compiled into an album. They can download my older music. You can watch the videos on YouTube on my channel, Zachary Meyers Music. You can go to Facebook and look up Zachary Meyers and like my page. You can follow me on Instagram because I post a lot of my musical stuff and my personal stuff. Basically anything social media, internet-wise, I've tried to take care of it. You can download the album from Bandcamp for free or donation-based, whatever you want. I just want to get the music out there and get people listening to it. Hopefully soon I'll be trying to get the music on iTunes and Spotify also. But yeah, it's a work in progress as of right now.
Great, thanks. So I'll leave those links for whoever's watching and down in the comments and in the description of the video as well. Well, Zach, I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thanks for spending an hour with me and with our audience members.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me do this. This was awesome.
It's been a lot of fun, and you're really great, and I'm proud of you, and you're doing great work, and I can't wait to hear what's next. Thanks for sharing about Voyage Live. I hope you have an awesome evening. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks for watching.
All right, sayonara.
Bye.
Bye, Zach.